The whole plan was to witness the glorious downfall of someone driven by greed. Ryuki is already at the door telling him to stop crying and get moving because now they were finally ready to begin. He wants to know what they're going to do. And obviously, man, it's time to go into the first dungeon. And the plan wasn't just to go into the dungeon, but to set the record in it. Ah, you sneaky devil. Now you're going to use those strategies you were selling to that guy Lin Full her, gonna humiliate everyone. In front of the dungeon entrance, a guy with a giant axe asked his group if they're ready. Everyone was supposed to stay alert and not let any item slip by. That's when our protagonist walks past like he's just casually strolling in. The guy immediately calls out to him and asks where he thinks he's going. That a group. He should know how dangerous this place is. But our boy just says that he knows very well what he's getting into. The guys start thinking that apparently they just run into some lunatic they've never seen before, and his buddy next to him, who's so important they didn't even draw eyes on him, says that in the past 3 months, no one has managed to complete this place. The leader is sure it's a waste of time, but there's a beauty man, which is hideout, and the goal was to break Lin Full's record. Gun blade ready or active, tied to breaks and records. The witch watches from her, or saying once again this bastard has invaded her domain. A filthy intruder like him shouldn't profane this sacred ground with his presence, but it was fine. She had a ways to bring judgment upon anyone trying to enter that place. She would personally tear him apart and offer him as a sacrifice. That was obviously the boss of the place, and her level was just a series of question marks. Just by entering the dungeon, the sneaky kid got 1 ticket. The only problem was that the place was so dark he couldn't see anything ahead. Like seriously, I see torches on the wall. This poor guy must be blind. Apparently the biggest problem with this dungeon is that every time you enter, it completely changes. So it's kind of hard to create a fixed strategy. He's sure that Lin Full cleared it in 17 hours and 30 minutes. Man, what the heck, 17 hours in the first dungeon? Might as well bring a wife and start a family while farming. Checking the rankings, you see second place is held by someone named Azir, or well, a person named Azir, part of the guy's clan, and they only took 8 minutes longer than Lin Full. Considering they were almost as good as Lin Full, it's a name worth keeping in mind. Suddenly he stops and looking up. There's a swarm of mosquitoes. Wait, not mosquitoes, giant bats. The problem is not only do they move in huge groups, but they also stack a ton of debuffs. So even if you don't die right away, you just keep suffering until you can't take it anymore. But he's already pulling on an item, saying that's a story of the past. He throws something on the ground and says to let go. This is how you handle this place. The thing explodes, spreading light everywhere. And if you thought it was a flashbang, you're totally wrong. It was a sound bomb, and now the suckers are falling everywhere with bleeding ears. Man, I felt bad for the little bats for a second, but then bam, sword to the chest. The kid has zero mercy. He already cleared the farming zone, slashing everything in sight. He says this place isn't that hard once you know the tricks. What he wants to know though, is why no one's finished this place in the past 3 months. Ibound wants to know why that would be strange. So Yuki explains that in theory, this is supposed to be a low difficulty dungeon. For everyone to be struggling this much, something else is going on. They keep going for the cave, and Ibound wants to know if he's sure they're going in the right way. Our boy tells him not to worry. He knows the patterns of this place, even if the map always changes. Ibound might not know, but he's written countless strategy guides when he was an analyst. This dungeon right here, he simulated thousands of times, so he knows exactly what he's doing. Igun, however, comments that they already passed through this area like 12 times. It wouldn't be a shame to admit he's lost, but Ryuki just ignores him and goes left, saying the entrance is right ahead. He tells him to look at that stalactite on the left, the one with the cut. You had to pass through this path 32 times, and when the cut showed up, it was proof that the route had changed. The little robot is confused, wanting to know how he came to such a precise conclusion. Obviously, right? It must have been trial and error thousands of times, and Ryuki just tells him to shut up because he has to focus now. But to make Igun happy, he explained that they had someone in the group who had a certain ability that helped discover those things, and in the past before strategy guides were developed, people actually used to memorize every element of the map and tried to guide themselves that way. So even though everything changes, he still has an idea of which way to go. The robot asks if he really memorized all those tiny differences from a place as useless as this. And already last saying he now realizes his master is completely out of his mind. As they continue through the cave, Ryuki is sure he spent more time here than he wanted. Not to mention, he still didn't understand why no one had cleared this in the past 3 months. Meanwhile, the witch is yelling, saying that apparently he escaped from the labyrinth, but now will fall into despair. The second he steps on the death magic, he'll instantly die. And man, that's exactly what he just did. When he activates, a flame surrounds his body, he freezes for a moment. Ivan wants to know what happened and he answers, he's not sure. But it felt like he was going to die if he took another step. Then he pulls out a weird little doll from his inventory and throws it forward. As soon as it hits the ground, the flames appear again. He recognizes them immediately. That was instant death magic, something extremely rare that should only appear much later at the tower. Why was something like that in this place? Igun immediately says that if unknown changes are happening, it's better to retreat. And now Yuki is deep in thought. A trap this brutal right from the start was dangerous. Maybe it'd be better to turn back, but when he looks behind him, he sees a strange path. And for a moment, he feels like it'd be okay to go that way. He starts realizing that these gut feelings and even the fact he spotted the trap are all thanks to the intuition skill. Watching through the orb, the witch says this bastard is really lucky. He survived by a single second, but it was just a matter of time. No matter where he went in this endless labyrinth, eventually he would die. But suddenly, he disappears from her orb. She's confused, uses a new spell and locates him again. But now it doesn't make sense. He's in the central hall, which is really far from where he was before. Apparently, the damn rat managed to escape the illusion. But it's fine. This place is filled with traps, and that's where he'll die. Except a second later, Ruki disappears again. She's confused and slams the table in anger, trying to understand what the hell this bastard is doing. Our boy was jumping through the very edges of the traps, dodging them all. The witch had no idea how he was doing it, or why he kept disappearing from her sight. So she decides to end it all before anything else goes wrong, and activates all the traps at once. A blue flames around the whole orb, and she celebrates, saying, "Finally got rid of that curse intruder." But behind her, something explodes. A voice from behind says that the materials weren't that great, but there were still things worth using. Igun's voice follows up, saying that if he had any sense, he'd disable that skill immediately. The witch turns and sees the two of them talking. Igun scolding him, saying that this new skill of his is totally broken, and he can't just walk around with something like that. Naturally, the witch wants to know how the hell he got there. But our boy says he's too lazy to explain, so he's just gonna handle this quickly. He knows very well that she's the Witch of Solitude, no, Miss Serial. Or rather, there was another name that fit her way better. Bug. The witch says the answer she wants is for that bastard to say how he got out of the traps. Ruki replies that he almost lost his head. The path to this place was filled with deadly things all over. Igun wants to know why he's talking in such a weird tone. Just a bit before that, our boy was looking down at the ground, watching the traps and wondering if there was any way to beat this. Maybe he should wait until the bug in this place got patched. But that's when he remembered. He needs his name to be known by everyone, before his former guild comes after him. That's when Igun says he had detected multiple traps, and at that point, it was definitely better to retreat than half the room exploded and he jumped to the side. Igun freaked out, saying this bastard was trying to commit suicide. But then our boy told him to calm down. That skill he had gotten was even better than he thought. Back with the witch, he says the intuition skill is really good. The guy is even showing her, telling her that's how he got into the room. That one he wanted to explain in detail. iGun says that as good as it is, it's still linked to a human, so eventually he's going to hit its limit. Ruki gets ready to attack, saying that's obvious. But what matters right now is survival. Suddenly, the window showing the witch's name starts glitching, and she screams the intruder's name. He said death traps appear in front of her, and Ruki rushes in. The first attack comes, he ducks just in time. If not for the skill, he'll be dead. He starts to realize that the witch seemed to begin corrupted by the bug in her. Whatever her pattern was, he didn't have time to figure it out. He had to attack now. So he uses flash step to get in close. With his sword or active, he says she really is dangerous. But this is the end. Why? A clean cut to the neck, separating the body from the robot's head. Ruki thinks that was way too easy. And then the attacks keep coming from the rest of her